Welcome back. Well, there's new fallout at Twitter after billionaire owner Elon Musk fired half of the company's 7,500 employees last Friday. Many reportedly in positions that monitor hate speech and misinformation on the site. Jake Ward has more.
This morning, billionaires debating the direction of the site that has an outsized impact on the spread of information just before the midterm election. Elon Musk tweeting overnight, Twitter needs to become by far the most accurate source of information about the world. Former owner Jack Dorsey replying, accurate to who? In a report from Bloomberg, unconfirmed by NBC News, the company has reached out to dozens of fired employees to ask them back because some were laid off by mistake, according to two people familiar with the moves. This just days after Elon Musk suddenly fired roughly half the staff.
I found that my work laptop was remotely wiped and access to Slack and Gmail revoked.
Sources within the company say the layoffs include staff that filtered out hate speech and studied misinformation. Critics now worry that Twitter's ability to police misinformation is compromised with the midterm elections only a day away.
There has to be guardrails so individuals are not misled. Misinformation is not dominating the public discourse.
New studies show the day Musk took over, hate speech also spiked on Twitter, but don't speculate as to why. Researchers found use of the N-word increased by nearly 500%. To raise revenues, Twitter plans to offer users verified accounts for $8 a month, though it's unclear what steps the company is taking to verify these accounts. This while some users took to impersonating Musk's personal account, including comedian Kathy Griffin, who was later suspended. Musk, a self-proclaimed free speech absolutist, tweeting that going forward such handles that don't clearly specify parody will be permanently suspended. Several major companies now pulling their ads from the platform. Musk, who tweeted he had, quote, no choice about the layoffs when the company is losing over $4 million a day, spoke out about the advertiser backlash.
This is despite us doing everything possible to appease them and to make it clear that moderation rules and hateful conduct rules have not changed, and we're continuing to enforce them.
Twitter, whose press team also was largely laid off, did not respond to our request for comment.
And the Wall Street Journal is reporting that Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, is also planning large-scale layoffs as soon as this week. Now, the layoffs could affect thousands of jobs and would be the first large-scale reduction in the company's 18-year history. A company spokesman refused to comment on the report, but pointed out that founder Mark Zuckerberg's recent comments that some teams will grow while others would either stay flat or shrink in the next year. Well, if you're thinking about buying the new iPhone 14 Pro or Pro Max for the holidays, you could be waiting longer than usual to get it. Apple says a COVID-19 outbreak at a factory in China has impacted production, which will lead to slower shipments than anticipated. The company says it is working to return to normal production levels at the facility while protecting the safety of every worker.